I worked for the big town of King Street for 1 year. As like their grants person, assistant administrator for a year, and then I decided I missed Georgetown, had to come back to Georgetown.
So you were born here?
I was born in Georgetown Memorial Hospital.
Okay. And so you went to King Street for 1 year. Did you actually move to King Street?
Did.
For a year?
I did. I lived in King Street for a year.
Okay.
And then came back.
Is that when you became Georgetown City Administrator?
No, I worked for the COG, and that's when I worked for the COG for 7 or 8 years, Waccamaw Regional.
Which is planning.
Right, yeah. Most of my work, though, there was community development block grants, housing, drainage projects, anything grant related. That's what I did at Waccamaw. And then I left Waccamaw, went to the city, and worked in the planning department in the city, and then building and planning department in the city. And then I became assistant administrator in the city. And then after Mitch Sizemore left, went to Rock Hill, I became administrator.
Mm-hmm. And you were the city administrator. You were like one of the first city administrators.
No, I was like I think the third.
Third, yeah, but I mean one of the first.
Right.
Yeah.
David Train was the first, and Mitch Sizemore, then me, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And you were there for quite a while.
I was. I think I have the record for the longest.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm still holding that. I can't remember exactly, but it was about for as an administrator. I'm kind of hesitant to say, but I know it's the longest.
Yeah, yeah, and so you were city administrator when a lot of things took place in the city.
We did a lot in the city.
I mean, a lot of good things happened in the city.
Yeah, we built.
What's some of the highlights of your city administrator?
New police station.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a new police station and courtroom, and of course now the county joined in at the end and added the EOC on the end of it. So I was there for that.
Mm-hmm.
We built basically a brand new sewer plant, major upgrades to the water treatment plant. Did tons of drainage projects all over the place, particularly in the West End. And I was not the administrator at the time. I was in the planning department. That was our big project. Was the downtown renovation project.
The Harbor Walk.
We started out with the boardwalk, Harbor Walk. Started out with the parking lot there on Orange Street where the old bottling plant used to be. That was our first project. We built a parking lot there, and then we built a parking lot here next to the courthouse. And then we built a little park there. It used to be by Ray's Men's Shop there in Orange Street. That was actually just a street in with dumpsters sitting in it. And now it's Constitution Park up there. And of course we built Rainey Park and renovated the park there at the River Room, Prince Marion Park. And then the boardwalk, as you said, Harbor Walk.
And that was in the late 80s, if I remember right.
Yeah, and then we did of course that time we also did the street. That was probably the most intense thing we did down there because we literally took Front Street down to the dirt. I remember that. We had sheets of plywood serving as sidewalks so people could then walk down to get to a particular business, and businesses were really great. We didn't have any complaints. I mean, as long as we kept the plywood there and people could walk there, it worked great. But that was interesting seeing Front Street dirt.
What were some of the toughest times as city administrator?
Oh, I think the toughest times is we had I'm not sure if it was a recession or not, but it was financial related. We had some bonds that went sour, and we had to scramble, and we ended up getting our money, but we had to do a lot of scrambling to recover from that. And that was certainly the hardest time. Was that time when we wanted to finances, but.
Of course, you were there in 1994.
Right.
When Spencer Gehry.
Oh yes,
died.
That was certainly.
I
stayed several days back and forth to the hospital in Charleston, and that was probably, yeah, you're right, that was probably the worst day. That was absolutely the worst day. We did have at that time, not too long after that, sanitation worker was killed in the back of the truck out on High Market Street. I believe it was Mr. Holmes.
And
that was tough, but Spencer obviously was very high profile, as you know. I'll never forget the funeral, the people lining up 17, go all the way to Pennaroll Road. I mean, that was about
it was
emotional.
They had it at the high school, the funeral, just because it was not a church in the state that would have held the number of people.
That was Yeah, you'll never forget that day. That's absolutely.
So what made you decide when this county planning position came up? What made you decide to make the switch?
I had been to the city for a while, and I was I really liked what the county was doing. I had done a lot of city stuff for a long time, so of course there was a lot of growth going on in Waccamaw Neck. I really liked working with projects and growing communities and all. Just to be honest, Georgetown Council, and it had a reputation, still does, I hope. They were very politically stable.
Mm-hmm.
It really impressed me with Georgetown County Council. I mean, the way you came to their meetings, things went very smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Back in those days, that wasn't necessarily the case in the city, as you recall. You were there. So there was a lot of political stability here at the county, and that was very attractive.
Mm-hmm. But did you want to get back to planning? I mean,
no, because when I left the city, I didn't have this job offer or anything. I actually left, and I was unemployed and for about 2 months, and Tommy Edwards gave me a call.
Mm-hmm.
Said, hey, we got a opening coming up. Carol Coleman was director. Tommy and Carol both called. Mm-hmm. And said, we got an opening down here. You interested? I said, sure. So I came to work with the county, and of course I didn't know it, and she didn't either, but about 2 or 3 months later, or several months later, Carol Coleman resigned and went to Horry County. Mm-hmm. So then I bumped up. I was a senior planner at that time, and I went bumped up to the director at that time.
Well,
it certainly wasn't the plan.
Yeah, it has been a. Now, what year did you start as county planner?
I came here in 2005.
2005. A lot has happened in that 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially on the Waccamaw Neck.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't look anything right now like it did in 2005, hardly.
Right.
I mean, we had the Don't Box the Neck. You went through those days.
Yeah, certainly the biggest public hearing and thing I've ever been involved with was no doubt when Walmart wanted to come where Publix is located now. And we had our meeting at the high school. Public hearing, I think, started at 5:30, and I know we were there past midnight. Over I think we had like 1,100 people at that public hearing.
But the interesting thing about that is the protest was over not building a Walmart on the Waccamaw Neck, but yet they ended up with a building that, when you add Publix and all the other
that's right
stores surrounding it, it's just as big as a Walmart would have been.
Yeah.
So what happened to the Don't Box the Neck? Because it's boxed.
Well, remember, there was a big grocery store there, so a lot of it, I guess it was retrofitting. I mean, you're right, they did so much work, it was almost like a new building, but it was a big building already there. Now, the Publix, even though it's very large, it was not as big. Mm-hmm. I think the Walmart at that time was looking at about 120,000 square feet, so it would have been a good fourth or more larger than what's there now. We did end up writing an ordinance, our big box ordinance, that only applies to the Waccamaw Neck. Mm-hmm. And I think it's 60,000 square feet, I think, is the cap now.
So what's been the highlight of your planning career in the county?
Probably the biggest accomplishment, and not that the average person would find this very exciting, but the county had for years had tried to zone the whole county, because the only thing that was zoned was the Neck and right around the city of Georgetown and right around Andrews.
And the rest of the county, you could build anything anywhere.
Yeah, just nothing.
Yeah,
the only thing regulating the rest of the county was septic tanks.
Yeah.
We got the whole county zoned, and I mean, like I said, that had been something that nobody would been able to accomplish, and we did get it done. You talk about citizen input. We went to every community we could find, from Pleasant Hill to Lambertown to Plantersville to Chapee we met with everybody. And basically what we did is we gave people what they wanted. We said, what do you want to do on your property? If you want farm animals and horses and goats and chickens, okay, we're going to make you forest and agriculture. If you don't want anything like that near your house and your neighbors agree, we're going to make you some more restricted residential district. So we basically gave the people what they were doing already. We didn't try and go in there and change anybody's lifestyle. And I think that was why we were successful.
Well, let me ask you about this. When you moved over to the county, one person that you convinced to come over here was, she was Holly Hembry at the time. I guess she's Holly Richardson now. And she was in the planning department in the city of Georgetown.
Yeah, that was very important.
Yeah,
priority.
And so you brought her over here, and now she's going to be at least the interim for now.
She has been named interim.
Yeah. Once you leave.
Holly and I have been
Yeah, you guys worked together a long time.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we were looking for a planner. I'll tell you the story. We were looking for a planner in Georgetown City. Just couldn't find anybody that we liked. We were getting ready to have a council retreat. Back in those days, you'd go out of town. You might have been there. It was Wampee. Sandy
Oh
Cooper's
yeah, I remember
place.
the Wampee meetings. Yeah.
John Pierce. I remember John Pierce at USC.
Mhm.
He was facilitating a lot of stuff for us then. So he was over the MPA program at USC. So I called John and said, John, I got this opening. We just haven't been successful. Can't find anybody we like. Surely you got one of your good students or something. He said, well, I'm going to be meeting with y'all this weekend. So I got somebody in mind. Let me bring her. So he brought Holly, and she was graduating like in a month.
Yeah, I mean, this has been her career.
Right,
Georgetown
so-
City and down Georgetown County.
So we spent council. Holly was there. I think it was a weekend we spent there, and I called her. And then Monday morning I called her and said, okay, here's a job offer. That was very. I knew that was going to be a good move, and it certainly has turned out to be great.
And she tells us she's going to try to get the interim knocked off of the title at some point. And
I heard her. You asked her that.
yeah, I asked her that a while ago. So that'll be cool. What are you going to miss most about it?
Probably all the contact with people. We have so much contact. Obviously, the staff, but even that, even though some of them are not always agreeable, but still, I'll miss some of the people, the surveyors and engineers, for instance. We work with extensively. All the surveyors. Just working with those people daily. I won't have any contact with them, so I'll be reading Gab News to find out what's going on.
And you told me you're actually going to retire. A lot of
I'm
people
retiring.
retire and then they go to another career.
I'm planning on retiring.
Okay.
I have no plans to do anything else.
So how will you fill your time that you've been?
Well, the short term is very full. First of all, boating and fishing will be my big recreational thing. So it's primarily, I live out on the Mingo Creek, right on the creek. And I got a lot of my friends that I fish with, for example, they've been retired for a while. And one thing I learned, retirees do their stuff during the week. They don't go out on Saturday and Sunday when it's crowded. So I'm looking forward to doing all my fishing and boating on Monday through Thursday. And I got plenty to do out there. We got it's not a large farm or anything, it's 3 or 4 acres, but I got 2 acres of grass to cut. So I got plenty to do.